This is Teaching English with Mo the Americanoid. Teaching stories about my teaching adventures and other ramblings of a lover of the English language. Episode 10. Surviving COVID-19. Life as a self-employed teacher, Part 2. So it means there was a Part 1. If you haven't listened to it, go back and read my Part 1 about surviving COVID-19. So, what can I say? Locked in. Now over 70 days into my quarantine since March 17th, 2020, by the way. What can I say? With the announcement that within the next 2 weeks, some of the restrictions will or might or may, you can choose any of these words, be lifted up, or at least there could be an easing out of the quarantine, despite the fact that the numbers of COVID-19 infections and deaths is still rising here in São Paulo. But, okay, enough of quarantine. I still have questions, opening a parenthesis here, I still have questions about the decision that to isolate everybody, to shut down everything around the world was the best approach. Was it really? Were we just reacting, panic, copying what China did? And again, we don't know the success rate in China because they heavily censored the figures, manipulated the numbers, and you cannot trust anything that they say. There is no transparency, but closing parenthesis. So some people, me included, we are starting to think about our mid to long-term plans. Considering that I had already been teaching face-to-face lessons at home prior to the quarantine, measures in force in São Paulo, where I'm based, so I already had an office, I had a space. It is a bedroom that had been already converted into my office space, a small bedroom. Simple but convenient, comfortable for my needs, and it would seat comfortably 1 or 2 students. 3 students, I think it gets a little crowded, but it's possible. The only inconvenience is that my back is to the window. The way that I display my furniture, I give my back to the window because either give my back to the window or to the door. So I decided to give my back to the window. It's harder to be surprised by something coming through the window, I hope, on the 3rd floor, I hope. So, my camera is facing, on my notebook, is facing the window. So I gotta keep the window, the blinds closed every time that I'm using it on my computer. If I'm using the iPad, it's okay. The camera is pretty good. But my notebook's camera is really lame. And the quality is, the image is poor. We have very, very, very low definition, very grainy indeed. But feel free to suggest a layout for my desk in my office. You can see a picture or 2 pictures of my office layout in the blog. Pre-pandemic. So what was my life like before the pandemic? Before, I had to get up to answer the door when a student would come to my office. Other times I would go out and teach somewhere else, in a bank or at a company. I would see people, I would be breathing, I would be walking around, I would exercise. Now I stay in front of a screen. Time goes by very fast, but at the same time very slowly, because you have more time, but you have no energy to be studying another language or to be studying a business plan for your new career in 2021. And you think, what new career? I just know how to teach, that's it. Time goes by faster, but you feel more tired, as I said, and you have no distractions sometimes. And other times you have too many distractions. See what I mean? For example, I have to watch myself, I have to police myself constantly, because otherwise I get a problem with the internet. I'm teaching on Zoom. And a student mentions something, a point, a piece of information. Oh, I go immediately on Google to look up for that information or look up for that image. And this is energy that I'm wasting So I have to focus and refocus constantly onto what my student is saying. And then later I can make even a note, mental note because I'm going to forget it, but a note, write it down, and then later I can look it up and I can send him complementary information. But it's very difficult for us not to get distracted during the Zoom classes. Self-care, a great risk while working with your computer is that you can be distracted or keep on looking for distractions, even with the best of intentions. I must confess that sometimes I get very sleepy. Some students, they like to talk, and so they start talking. Of course, they make some mistakes, but usually they are talking okay, and their voice drones on, and you fall into that lull of rest, bliss, you fall into Orpheus's arms. And for example, a student mentions a song. I immediately go to YouTube and look up the song with lyrics, of course, to use during the class while we are having the class. This multitasking may sound cool or imply how efficient the teacher is or how techy I am, but actually it causes distractions and energy spent on something that could have waited. You, teacher, never ignore the importance of drinking water. Hydration is king, queen, and all things in between. Do you like it? And stretching every 60 minutes or so. Don't deceive yourself that teaching classes sequentially back to back will do you good. They won't. Allow breaks between classes so you can breathe, exercise, go to the bathroom, not seated. If you are not tied to a wheelchair, please get up and walk to the bathroom. And even if stand up, bring more oxygen to your brain. Stretch your arms, try to stretch your legs. Not in front of the camera with the student watching. You're not a personal trainer, you are an English teacher. And what's business like during this pandemic? This week alone, 2 new people looked me up to ask about classes. New students, new flash. Yeah! One has already seen my work and decided to start classes as of last Monday. So last Monday I already started with her. She didn't complain about my prices. She didn't try to bargain. She just started, and every time she would say, during the class I would say something like, okay, you can look it up this way, you can say it that way, and how interesting. But she wasn't being ironic or sarcastic. She really meant that she found it so interesting. It's funny. And another one of the students is a 19-year-old. She's a first semester international affairs college student. She's the daughter of a former student of mine. I must confess, I remember him. I know who he is, but not that he had once been my student. Guess I'm growing old. But I have this problem. My memory for some things is very long term. For other things is really delete, and file it away. Considering that for 2 months, not even the phone had run with prospective students, 2 calls in 1 week show some resumption, hopefully, of business. Sorry about those bleeps, but my WhatsApp, that is usually quiet at this time of the morning, is bleeping like crazy. Oh, dear me. But focus. Professional development. One thing that I'm really enjoying is that for years, Brasstesol has been quiet, just focusing on presential or very limited webinars or webinars that were not available online afterwards. They were not recorded. But now Brasstesol has been making available a wide range of webinars on YouTube. So you don't need to watch it live, because sometimes there are many things that you can fast forward, It's different when you're watching something recorded and something live. And this is a boon to teachers everywhere, offering a great lifeline and bringing a sense that things are starting to happen again. You can check their YouTube channel, Brasstesol. Look up in my blog, you can find the link there, okay? And what can I say now? The light at the end of the tunnel, I can see it, and hopefully it might not be a truck moving or a train moving towards me. So, fingers crossed. Let us see. I'll keep you updated, okay? Now we are easing out of the quarantine despite the growing numbers of pandemic infected people. Who knows, huh? But let us keep fingers crossed. Cheers, Mo. See you around. Take good care of yourself. For more information, contact me on my blog, americanoidblog.com. Easy to spell it. See you around. Bye-bye.